And in grief, it is hard to sleep at night when I know that there are families that have lost their homes, their land, their livelihoods, their only means of survival, their opportunities, not because of natural disaster, but as a result of many mad actions, omissions and commissions, by cruel actions driven by greed, lack of empathy, and of course the numbness of compassion. My prayer every day is that we never lose our ability to have compassion for each other, to feel for each other. The blows of COVID-19, corruption, the collapse in our healthcare system, unemployment, and other demands that have continued to affect us, continue to demand that we answer to the call of action. It is in this context, fellow countrymen, that I present to you the Zimbabwe Agenda 2021. However, before I do that, I must comment on how we have fared in the past year. We have done very well, and I must conclude by celebrating and congratulating all of you, because we are survivors. We have survived. 2020 was a difficult year. 2020 was a difficult and very, very dangerous year because of the pandemic, but also because of other problems. It was a difficult year in the context of the fact of the forces that were deployed against us, the people, but also against us in particular within the progressive movement. In itself, it has been a very strong testimony of the strength of the idea that we represent and the undying spirit of our people. In 2020, we faced the crisis, as I have already indicated, from two sources. The first was a crisis that I have already referred to, namely the crisis of the COVID-19 pandemic. The second crisis was due to authoritarianism and what I would term authoritarian consolidation by the incumbent, whereby the regime and the oppressors have embarked on a relentless assault and onslaught upon democracy and upon the People's Party. This assault involved the use of the state machinery to subvert democracy and the will of the people. The oppressors have engineered the expulsion of our democratically elected representatives from parliament, from local authorities in the councils. In their place, they have chosen to unilaterally, illegally and criminally handpick individuals, some of whom we defeated and were defeated in 2018 in the elections. And these were foisted and have been foisted upon the people. Our party headquarters was forcibly occupied, depriving us of that opportunity to continue to wage our struggle from our own home. The oppressors have also diverted our funding under the Political Parties Finance Act, giving it to its surrogates, their beloved little boys and girls, whom they hope will continue to help them on their stranglehold in power. The purpose of this was all to punish ourselves, the People's Party, for resisting the illegitimacy of the outcome of 2018 elections, which lacked credibility and acceptability. The oppressors have believed that by stripping us of our assets and entitlements under the law, they would dampen our spirits and break us down. This has not worked. It will never work. It will not work. It can't work. The Zimbabwean people are politically literate, they are politically advanced, and they are politically illuminated. And they know that this cannot be allowed to go past them. They can distinguish between right and wrong. They know that some of us are being used by the oppressor as a scheme to derail and weaken the people's struggle. While other governments were working hard to contain the pandemic, the oppressors in Zimbabwe saw it as an opportunity to restrict political rights. They have suspended by-elections indefinitely under the guise of fighting the pandemic. Therefore, while the oppressors were allowing the removal of people's representatives, they've also tried to close the channel for choosing their replacements. This has deprived the people of the opportunity to reclaim and correct the injustice by ending the criminal abuse of office, the blatant theft that we have seen. Despite all these attacks on our party, we refuse to be cast as victims Rather, we are survivors and winners. For when someone works so hard to try and destroy you, and they fail, it is because you are strong and you are a winner. We are invincible. We are indomitable. We are unconquerable. We are grateful mainly to you, the citizens, for continuing to believe in us, even against all odds, even as the oppressors and the terrorists have ganged up against the people and their project. This year, will see us consolidating, showing resilience and resistance. So in 2021, we will consolidate our position as a movement that represents the dreams, hopes, and aspirations of all progressive Zimbabweans. Oppressors have tried everything to decimate us, but we have remained solid, and we are humbled by the fact that your trust and confidence in us remains unshaken, remains unmoved. We do not regard those who have left us as losses, but as an important shedding off of the elements that impede and slow down our democratic struggle. This struggle is not moved by those who have mercenary zeal, but by those who are driven by missionary zeal. Those who want to eat have no place in this train of democracy. This is not about the pioneer column mentality. This is not about the Last Supper or a departure lounge mentality. It is about serving the people, not about our stomachs. It is about what we are giving, not what we are taking. It is about what we are going to do, not what we are going to be. And that is what makes us different. We have identified that the strategy of the oppressors is to create a controlled opposition, a government-controlled opposition under the command politics that has become the hallmark of this establishment. They hope to effectively establish a one-party state in all but the name. And we hope to see how they are going to do it, but we will peacefully resist and oppose those that seek to undermine our democracy, attack citizens and their freedoms. We will peacefully resist all those who oppose us in our constitutional conduct and behavior in exercising our rights in terms of the Constitution. And we will oppose all unconstitutional acts. We will peacefully resist and oppose weaponization of the law and the justice system in our country. We will peacefully resist and oppose the oppressors that rigged and that continue to rig elections in our country. The people's agenda is to maintain the fight for democracy and to overcome the obstacles that have been placed in our own way. We will use 2021 to reconnect with the grassroots, which remains the anchor of the people's struggle, to embark, of course, on a major recruitment drive, both at home and in the diaspora. Allow me to state this. 2021 is a special year. It is a turning point in being a year of citizen convergence for change. This is our year for change. our year for reforms, our year to converge and come together. This is no longer about where you belong. From the churches, the trade unions, our labor, students, women's groups, our traditional leaders, our war veterans, every citizen, the vendors, the informal traders, this is now time to converge and come together. Save ourselves, young people, the elderly. We need all to come together. Igorere sungano yevanu yeshanduko. Umnyaka wabutano wabantu awalwela inkukuko indebele. This is the year to converge. This is the year to fight for change. This is the year for the citizen to be respected. Our agenda for 2021 is to bring citizens together under a new consensus, a new convergence, a new alliance, a broad tent, to speak with one voice, act with one accord, and win Zimbabwe for change. Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. You and I are the ones who have to come together and to be the ones we have been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. The theme for this year in our Agenda 2021 is informed by key words: change, citizens, convergence. We are talking about reforms. The three concepts are in turn informed first and foremost by our strategic thrust to locate ourselves and our programming and the program of action with the people. Secondly, the issue of convergence is the citizens' talk around the strategy to initiate the formation of a broad alliance of citizens and their groups in their various forms. Democratic forces need to confront the national question as a collective of forces in a manner that should result in change and reforms in Zimbabwe, in the lives of Zimbabweans, in particular around the issue of the governance of our country. We need to do this. Thirdly, the theme is also informed by the desire for us to assert our leadership role in the alternative in our country as the main alternative voice of both reason and transformation. And let me just emphasize this fundamental point. Our thrust as we go into this year is to make sure that on citizens, we are giving citizens the lifeblood of all the work that we do. I have had to learn in a very difficult journey that anything we do over the years is all about the people. Political power lies in the people. Political power comes from the people. So we are from the people. We are for the people, and we are deployed to lead and guide, lead the people. I will never leave the people behind in our programming, in our decision making, and in our messaging. You, the people, come first. It is all about you. It is your party. It is your struggle. It is your country. Together, we are of citizen groups, an omnibus of the progressive. All democratic forces need to come and confront the national question. When we demand accountability, we speak with one voice, act collectively. We are able to then become a formidable force for meaningful change in the lives of our people. This year, in our convergence, we will demand accountability. Accountability in governance, accountability in policy making, accountability in oversight roles in parliament, accountability in local communities, in our local authorities. I must emphasize the importance of change. Democratic and transformational change lies at the core of who we are. Reforms are important. A people's government is basically the substance of a real change. A real change means taking what is broken and creating something new. We are the alternative voice, an alternative government. And for this great nation, we are there to present an alternative program. The party will, through our active citizen engagement and participation in consultation, achieve the complementary goals of winning elections, attaining state power, and transforming our country to be one of the strongest, not just on the continent, but in the world. This we can do. This we shall do. And this we will do. There are 5 key areas of focus for 2021. And these are as follows. Number 1, the people's agenda. Number 2, the citizen national agenda. Number 3, the reforms agenda. Number 4, the government agenda. And of course, 5, the global agenda. So that gives you the 5 core issues that we are going to be pushing. People's agenda, the citizen agenda, which is the national agenda, our reforms agenda, and the government agenda, and the global agenda. These 5 core issues are very important because they define where we are going. They define the content and substance of our struggle. First is the people's agenda. And on the people's agenda, we are refocusing our fights as a means to mobilize and energize the base, reassert our leadership role as an alternative government, building a mass-based people's party through recruitment, mobilization, mobilizing resources, strengthening the party as an institution administratively, technically, to make sure that we are ready to fight an electoral fight in the near future. We need to execute the struggle to its logical conclusion. We need to make sure that we are able to build a strong movement that is energized at the base, that is able to build a very strong and formidable show to give Zimbabweans a fighting chance. This can only happen if we invest in the grassroots, we invest in communities, we invest in the people at a local level. We will lead in our communities, we will lead community daily struggles, we will lead because that is where the party must be domiciled. I must emphasize that on the people, we have the agenda for the young people. As you are aware, Zimbabwe is a young nation in terms of demographics. Nearly 70% of the population is under the age of 35, which is the maximum youth age under our constitution. However, young people remain on the fringes, the margins, and peripherals of the political and economic spaces. We're not going to pretend that we know everything about the challenges that young people are facing. We will not assume or work on assumptions that we all know the needs and expectations of the young people. Instead, as a leadership, we're going to make sure that we build values of consultative politics. We want to embark on a major consultative drive and engage young people across the breadth and length of this country. In Matabeleland, in Mashonaland, in Manicaland, in Masingo, in Midlands, in Harare, in Ulawayo, we want to make sure that both young men and women, rural and urban areas, are engaged and are at the forefront and at the core phase of the struggles that we are going to fight. Our agenda for young people is to construct policies that are informed by their needs, that are informed by their expectations, policies that come from them rather than imposed on them from the top. We do not want to do policies for youth without the youth, purporting to know what they want. It is time to acknowledge the role that the youth play, and they are not our future. Young people are not our future. They are our today. If we are to harness the full potential and our full potential as a nation, we need to invest in this generation of leadership in Zimbabwe. Young people are leading. They are leading everywhere, within the economy, in the arts.